that it costs to sit up here. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight.
The Saints ain't looking so saintly right now, and Marvin Sapp might be swapping his choir robe for an orange jumpsuit. Word is the feds got Marvin under heavy watch for fraud, and if that ain't enough heat, the IRS might be circling too. Bet he's wishing he never pulled that crazy stunt at church last week.
Here's what God told me. He said, there is a new beginning for some folks. So I wrote my check for $800. And the Lord told me challenge 12 people to bring $800. Any of you on the floor, you want to come, I want you to put it in my hand. I'm at 5, I need 7 more. There's one down here, Bishop Martin. So I need 4 more. So tonight when I began to ask the Lord, he said, tell the folks that want some closure on some situations, when they write their checks and when they give tonight, write closure. And he said, the same closure that I gave you, I'm going to give to them. There are 25 of you that will bring a check for $500 tonight.
Marvin went viral after straight up demanding $40,000 from his congregation on the spot, and now the streets are buzzing that he's got even shadier moves happening behind the scenes. People are whispering Marvin might be dipping into church money, and don't even get started on the tax evasion rumors flying around. The tea is hotter than ever. Gospel singer Marvin Sapp, who blessed the world with hits like Never Would Have Made It and The Best in Me, just blew up online, but not for a new track. Nah, it's way messier than that. At the 2024 Paul Convention in Baltimore, Marvin was caught on camera pulling something wild. He told the ushers to shut the doors and lock the congregation inside during service. That's right, locking folks in church while he demanded that $40,000 bag.
And this is what God is saying for at least 1,000 of you in the building. And this is simple. I'm not going to challenge you the way Bishop did, but I know that there's 1,000 individuals under the sound of my voice that can do what I'm about to challenge you all to do. This is simple. 1,000 people giving what I'm about to challenge will be $20,000. 1,000 people giving what I'm about to challenge you all to do will be $20,000.
The second that footage hit the internet, social media cooked Marvin and the church for what looked like a full-blown holy hostage crisis. But hold up, it didn't stop there. Marvin wasn't just locking doors like it was a stick-up. There's even more madness coming. Nah, Marvin wasn't just locking folks in. He straight up dropped a price list for freedom.
For those of us who are on the dais, I'm taking you higher, so put it back. I'm a strong believer that leaders lead not only in time, not only in talent, but also in treasure. Leaders lead in time, talent, and treasure. I was taught a long time ago that it costs to sit up here.
Here's how. He told the whole congregation that if each person dropped 2020, then and Domlathan, woot the doors as wing open and the cood final livet, and this wasn't justice malgrap either. There were about 2000 Piopalakadan, both in the building gone watching online, that Marvin wasn't playing. He was into Batalatown Gunnel Tapful 40,000 was stacked, but just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, Marvin turned around and hit the pastors with an extra tax. Yep, he told them it wasn't just $220 for them. Pastor Shattuck $100 each. Why? Because Marvin said it cost to sit at the altar. Man, the way he was moving, you'd think he was running a VIP section at a nightclub instead of church service. In the video, Marvin tried to justify it all. He said back in the biblical days, folks had to bring currency as a sacrifice to God. So now, since today's currency is cold hard cash, he claimed all he needed was $20 from each person to hit their goal. Now listen, I get where he was trying to go with it, but you can only imagine how those 2,000 folks, both in the building and online, must have been feeling. It didn't sound like no spirit-filled moment. It felt like a straight-up bank transaction. Who goes to church expecting to get hit with a bill just to leave? It's one thing to encourage folks to donate, but this right here? This felt way too transactional and shady. Yeah, and so Marvin was wrapping up the convention, getting ready to let everybody head out, but out of nowhere, he hit the crowd with a loud, "Hold up, wait a minute." He made it crystal clear. Nobody was moving until they all left together.
That it costs to sit up here. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight.
But here's where it got real grimy. Marvin pressured folks to walk up front and drop that $20 in the bucket before a single usher even thought about opening those doors. Now, the cameras didn't catch everything happening inside, but word on the street is Marvin spotted a few smart ones trying to dip out early. They weren't about to get finessed that easy. That's when Marvin got fired up and dropped his now infamous line, telling the ushers to shut the doors. He really believed what he was asking was light work, like throwing $20 was no big deal. He stood firm. No cash, no exit. He straight up demanded that nobody should leave without giving, because according to him, giving is worship. But if you thought Marvin was doing the most, just wait till you hear this next mess. Another preacher at the same event decided to take the hustle even further. Before Marvin even touched the mic, this bishop jumped up and started auctioning off blessings like he was running a churchyard sale. No lie, he told the crowd that 12 people needed to cough up 800 each for a asterisk operator, new beginning, asterisk operator, anything held out to 5 more tarafavizo each if they wanted closure. And get this, according to him, God supposedly told him which people needed that closure. But before they could get those heavenly blessings, they had to Venmo the cash. Yeah, you heard that right. Venmo at the altar.
What has happened is people have taken clickbait and made something out of it that it isn't. And because of that, my church has been getting phone calls. People have called my church and cussed me out. My staff are afraid because I've received death threats over $20 and shut the door. People have come to our campus. They have come to my church to try to cause problems, issues, challenges.
Talk about flipping a church service into a full-blown business. D-Line, no way you can convince me these preachers didn't have some kind of secret quota they were chasing. No way. Because trust, Marvin Sapp wasn't the only one out here pulling shady moves at that convention. Once that video started flooding the internet, the reactions exploded, and man, they were split right down the middle. Loud about it, too. A lot of folks were dragging Marvin, saying he was straight up masking greed with a little sprinkle of worship on top. They claimed he was using his power to trap people inside the church, holding them under the heavy cover of spirituality, all while digging deep in their pockets for some serious shmoney. Others were even louder, saying stunts like this are the exact reason why they don't trust churches no more. Some said it's moves like this that make them question if these so-called leaders are really about God or just about getting the bag. The whole situation got real messy, real fast. Comments were flying left and right, some riding for Marvin, others ripping him to shreds. It was wild out there. And just when it felt like everything was spiraling out of control, Marvin knew he had to step in before it burned down even worse. He could feel the fire getting hotter by the second, and whatever was going on had to be handled quick. Now, if you didn't know, Marvin Sapp is the pastor of the Chosen Vessel Church down in Texas. And let me tell you, this drama is making that whole church look real bad right now. Wouldn't be shocking at all if some members already started packing up and dipping out after all this madness, of course. Marvin wasn't about to just sit back and watch his name get dragged without fighting back a little. He jumped into full-on damage control mode, running straight to his Facebook page to face the drama head-on. claiming he never meant to make anybody feel like they were being trapped or forced to give it. It was obvious he was trying to wipe the mess clean, but once the internet gets a hold of something like this, it's almost impossible to hit undo. Marvin wrote, recently, a clip has gone viral of me challenging 2,000 individuals, virtually and in person, to plant a seed. Of 2023 International Gathering held Data Convention Center with over 4,000 people attending that evening, plus virtual viewers. In that moment, il s'agit leadership to lead by example by sowing 100. That evening, I personally gave much more. He knew folks were especially mad about that moment, where he barked at the ushers to shut the doors, and he tried to explain it away. Marvin said for people who don't know how church services usually go, it might have looked like he was holding folks hostage, but that was never his intention. Then he went even deeper, saying he was only trying to create a safe space for the money to be collected. According to Marvin, the moment when finances are being gathered during worship is one of the most vulnerable and exposed times for both the finance team and the security team. He said movement during that sacred exchange can cause distractions and even pose risks. Man, Marvin really pulled out all the stops trying to explain this one away, but the streets already made up their mind. And the internet, don't forget that easy. Marvin kept trying to clean up the mess. He said his move wasn't about controlling people. Nah, he claimed it was about creating a safe, focused, and reverent space for the ones choosing to give and the ones handling the money. But let's be real. In this wild social media era, one short clip hits the timeline, and folks start making snap judgments without even knowing the whole story. To back himself up even harder, Marvin pulled out the Bible. He said, now allow me to give you some biblical context. Not opinion, not tradition, but straight-up scripture. He pointed at 1 Chronicles 29, where King David, getting ready to build the temple, challenged the people to give. David led by example, giving from his own stash first, then asked the leaders to match him. Marvin said the people back then gave so much they had to start recording the gifts, and eventually David had to tell them to stop giving because they'd already gone over the top. According to Marvin, asking people to give specific amounts isn't shady. He claimed it's not manipulation at all. It's straight scripture, but he wrapped it up saying, yeah, you saw a moment, but I invite you to understand the movement behind it. But man, it didn't matter how many Bible verses he threw at it. The internet wasn't trying to hear none of that. They came from Marvin hard. No mercy. People were flooding the comments, telling him to quit disgracing the church and stop using God's name just to run game on people. The backlash was brutal, and no amount of fancy explaining was going to erase the fact that the video had already lit a wildfire. Once the internet locks onto something, there's no easy way to crawl out of that heat. And believe it or not, the drama didn't stop there. Now, Marvin's out here crying out, claiming he's been getting serious threats. People saying wild stuff, even threatening to harm him. This thing went way further than he ever thought it would. When Marvin Sapp pulled up on the Ricky Smiley morning show, he said the viral video had wrecked his life and even messed with his kids too. But the streets ain't buying it. The word going around now is that all this talk about death threats might just be a big cover-up, because the real heat on Marvin, it's coming from the IRS. Allegedly, folks are saying Marvin's claiming threats just to distract from the fact that he's reportedly being investigated for fraud and tax evasion. That's right. The IRS is allegedly all up in his business now. Sources say some members of his own church started whispering that the money he raised at the conference wasn't exactly for the church, but maybe for himself, all allegedly. Of course, once those reports started picking up steam online, it supposedly triggered the IRS to start digging deep into Marvin's finances. And according to the word out here, when the IRS looked closer, they reportedly found some numbers that weren't adding up. Something real shady might be lurking behind all that holy talk. Now, I need y'all to sound off in the comments because this conversation is getting hotter by the second. Honestly, it feels like this whole situation is a messy mix of truth and context. No matter how Marvin tries to spin it, whether the church needed the money or not, he definitely ordered those ushers to slam those doors shut. No question about it. And telling folks they could leave only after dropping $20 at the front? Man, that's hard to ignore. So what do you think? Was Marvin justified in what he did? And what about him backing it up with Bible verses? Does that sit right with you? Or does it sound like he's twisting scripture just to cover his tracks? Drop your thoughts below. I need to hear what y'all think about this wild situation. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one if this ain't over yet.